All right, well, this is Margaret with Mud Run Guide. I'm here with Joe Sena, who is coming at us from Singapore. And Joe is one of the founders of Spartan Race. So, Joe, thanks for being with us. Your nighttime, my morning. Um, it's crazy. We're talking to each other across the world.
We are talking to each other across the world. It's pretty awesome. It's hot here and probably cold there.
Yep, it was cold. I put the garbage out this morning.
Nice, nice. I miss those days of chopping wood early in the morning in the snow. Now I go out for a swim.
Well, actually, let's talk about the your old stomping grounds in Pittsfield. Agogi just took place over the weekend there. I know that obviously you're in Singapore, but can you tell me a little bit about Agogi? Like, what was the impetus behind it, and sort of how you guys came up with the idea for it?
Yeah. First of all, I'm glad you're calling it Agogi. I've heard different pronunciations, but that's what I like to call it. And any analysis of history says that that's the way you pronunciate it. The idea was simple. Let's go back to the original Spartan roots and let's put people through what the Spartans put people through. They did, in 13 plus years, what we're going to try to do in 60 hours. We're just going to try to build better humans. You know me a long time. That's always been my motto. How do we take people, just like you take iron out of the ground, pound it, dunk it underwater, heat it up, right? And just turn it into hardened steel. And we've had all kinds of races I've played with, and the idea here was: could we bring in experts? Can we bring in education? Can we really enter the participant's mind while we're breaking them? While their mind, is open to new ideas, while they're sweating and breathing heavy and hating us, and it's worked. We've put on a couple now, and the response is incredible. It's building better humans. I was talking to Ben Greenfield earlier this morning, and his take after doing it was, everybody should go out and do an Agogi, whether you're a hunter, a fisherman, an office person. You're gonna come out of the thing just a better person.
And I think a lot of people were a little bit confused about what Agogi, the mission of it was. I know I talked to Tony in our previous interviews. Unlike the death race, which I think a lot of people are obviously comparing it to because you used to put the death race on for so many years. Talk about the differences between the death race and Agogi and how maybe one influenced the other or they're totally different.
Yeah. So death race. What my life has felt like a death race, right? So I've been building businesses for 40 years now, and a little under 40 years, and they're always a death race. Everything that can go wrong does go wrong, and so the idea was: could we put people in the elements and just put so much pressure on them, physical and mental pressure, that they snap? The problem with that was we weren't teaching them anything. There were a few that were finishing, and they were coming out thinking, okay, all you got to do is keep your head down and keep moving forward, and that's going to create success in life. That's not necessarily true. There are points in life where you're supposed to quit. There are points in life where you're supposed to pivot. And we weren't dumping a bunch of knowledge into the participants' minds. So really, this is version two. And can we do all those things, but also teach the person? Because then we've achieved something. Then it's worthwhile. It's one thing to go through this rite of passage, whether it's a Spartan race or an Agogi or a death race, and come out the other side more hardened and realize you could push further than you thought you could. It's another thing to come out more hardened, knowing you can push further, but with a bunch of knowledge about you'll learn a lot about yourself. And so that's the point, and it's working so far.
Excellent. Well, I guess the natural progression is the Agogi is part of the training trifecta, I guess, of the Delta that you guys
So
started.
the delta is really just to signify, look, people like resumes,
Mhm.
and that they like to hang medals up on their walls, and so we said, well, let's create a delta, which means change, right? It's got its origins from Greece, and can we create this thing where people can decorate it with their achievements? And so the perfect delta, the one that very few people are going to get, would show that complete transformation from beginning to end, because we get thousands and hundreds of thousands of emails that say, I'm transformed. I no longer smoke. I'm back with my husband. I'm back with my wife. I lost 500 pounds. You know who I'm talking about. So how do you, because there's a segment of the people out there that like to show off that achievement and even keep it in their house, even if no one else sees it, it's a reminder for themselves to know what they're capable of. Sometimes, the walls and the ceiling close in on us because we start to doubt ourselves. And so maybe this is a reminder, if it's sitting in your house, that, wait a minute, I'm capable of a lot more than people think I'm capable of, and more than I think I'm capable of. And that's a reminder. You probably have some things that remind you of what you're capable of. I have things, whether it's a shirt or whatever, a memory, that's like, wait a minute, I could do this. And so that was the idea behind the Delta. And you can decorate it with the Hurricane Heat achievements. You could decorate it with the Agogi achievements. You could decorate it with Spartan Race, Trifecta, SGX, Spartan X, which is a test for the mind. Or you don't have to. You might be a person. I came across hundreds of finish lines in my race career, which was not much of anything compared to all of you out there. But where there was nothing at the finish line, not even cold pizza, nothing, no one to clap, and so that's fine too. It's whatever is going to motivate you to continue to push yourself, because my motivation is to make sure when you get to the end of your life, whoever you are, you've given it everything you were capable of. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Tell me a little bit about the Spartan X that you just mentioned, because that's one of the newer offerings you guys have. So kind of tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I went around, I don't even know why I did it, why I started it, with this podcast idea, and we interviewed 200 people right off the bat, and that was a trip around the world. It was insane. And I learned a lot, and I learned a lot over the 38 plus years of building businesses. What goes wrong, what goes right. Over time you learn. I'll give you a quick story. Courtney, my wife, and the kids were going to soccer tonight. You'll love this. And Jack, my oldest son, forgot all his stuff at school for soccer. And they were 40 minutes away, 30 minutes away. And she said, well, now we got to turn around. I got to take the taxi back. We're going to be late. And my oldest son, he's 10 years old, he puts his hand on my wife's shoulder and he says, you know what, Mom? I'll just wear what I have on, his uniform, his school uniform. The show must go on. And she's like, the show must go on? Where the hell did you get that? And he goes, I got it from Dad. He was giving us a lesson one night and he said, the show must go on. And so, and I'll give you 3 stories with him. Another great story was he did a 50K. He was 8 years old. He did a 50K. And I made the mistake during the run of telling him, hey, the medal's going to be awesome. I know you're feeling terrible right now and you want to quit. Bad mistake on my part. You don't make it ever about the medal, right? And he gets to the finish line. I go over to the race director, and he's busted and I'm busted. We've been out there all day, and I'm so proud of him. And I say to the race director, hey, are there any medals left? Because we're coming in last and second to last. And he goes, oh, at this race, we don't give out medals. We just give out chairs. And I'm thinking, this 8-year-old is going to hit me with the chair. It's going to be terrible. And he says, hey, would you mind if I get an extra chair for my brother and one for my sister? And so again, that awesome message, right? And that kid just grasped it. So when you ask about, and I'll give you one more, and you know this one. I tested my son on instant gratification. He was probably 6, and I offered him a scoop of ice cream. And I said, hey, and we never eat ice cream. And I said, hey, you could have this scoop or you could wait. And if you wait long enough, I'll get you a second scoop. And so about 3.5 minutes later, he turned to me, 6 years old, and he says, hey, Dad, how long do I have to wait to get 15 scoops? And that is the greatest answer ever, because in life, and certainly in a Spartan ecosystem, we're playing for 15 scoops in life. We're not playing for 1 scoop. We're not playing for 2 scoops. So when you ask what Spartan X is, it's that ability to delay gratification, not go for the scoop. It's the ability to look the other way when there is no reward at the finish line, right? When you get a chair instead of a medal, and be okay with it. Like, oh, that's cool. Life just threw me a curveball, but I'm okay with that curveball. And it's the ability of the show continuing to go on no matter what gets thrown at you. So it's really a race for the mind. It's all these lessons we learned from those 200 interviews and running businesses and saying, what are the core principles to being successful in life? And we packaged them up and we said, look, there's going to be millions of people that just won't come out and crawl under barbed wire, but we want to transform them too. And so maybe if they go through the lesson, maybe it'll motivate them to go through their own barbed wire. Maybe it'll get them walking a mile a day, or being a little better to their spouse. Who knows? So that's the idea with Spartan X.
Awesome. Well, and then the last thing is what's new for Spartan this year? Like, what new markets are you going into? New obstacles maybe to look out for? What should
Yeah,
people
we're
be looking for?
constantly working on obstacles. I'm working on something a friend of mine sent me from Leonardo da Vinci, one of my heroes, on an obstacle. So stay tuned for that. On new markets, we're in Brazil, which is exciting. I'm physically working on China, Thailand, Indonesia. I think those three out here in Asia, maybe Philippines this year. India is pushing hard. I planned on doing India 3 years ago, but it's a very hard market to crack just because there's a lot of corruption there. So we got to figure that out. And I just spent a month in Japan, so I'm dreaming Japan has got to get done. So I think those are the big ones.
There's got to be some cultural hurdles to get over to
There's
some of those different places.
You know, my lesson tonight for the kids before you called was hey, now that you guys know that the show must go on, let's talk about details, right? And one of my favorite sayings is, you know, it's not the mountain lions and the crocodiles or alligators that kill you in the forest or the jungle. It's the mosquitoes and the flies. And the point is that when you say, hey, Joe, you want to go into these new countries, or you want to do Spartan X, you want to do Delta, as you know, with running a business, the details kill you. The mosquitoes and flies just kill you. We've got lists, you know, things we have to get done on a daily basis for all those dominoes to fall in order to continue to succeed and move forward. And so it's easy to say, I want to go to Indonesia. And yeah, it's certainly, there's cultural issues, but what about the 500 other, like, translating everything, or finding the right people on the ground there, or getting office space, or getting a warehouse, or figuring out what kind of wood they have to build out. Like there's hundreds of things to figure out.
Yeah. Well, right before I let you get going, I like your little, from when we used to work out together, you always had a little pearl of wisdom, I feel like, every day. Do you have a pearl of wisdom before I let you get going?
I just hit you with a lot. You're putting me on the spot now. You got me stumped, but what we should do is I'll come back to you with one, and then you'll have a reason for people to tune in and watch this. How's that?
Perfect. I'll hold you to it for sure.
Hold me to that one. I'll send you, you know me, it'll pop into my head. It's easy when we're hiking up a mountain carrying a sandbag on our shoulders for me to spit one out. It's a little harder standing in the kitchen.
Perfect. Well, I'll let you get going with your evening, and I'm gonna finish my coffee and finish my morning. But thanks so much for taking the time. And
I will tell you this.
Sure.
This is not a great one, but I've always said you should just drink water, as you know. Mm-hmm. But I've really been sticking to that. I'm not drinking anything, no coffee, no tea, no juice, nothing. And the difference is remarkable. So for anybody out there willing to just drink water, even for 30 days, there you go. You will be amazed at the results. Mm-hmm. Those extra 100, 200, 300 calories you pick up with those juices and coffee, by the way, dehydrates you. Tea dehydrates you. So yeah. Water.
Mine's got a little extra kick to it. It's got lion's mane extract from the mushroom in it.
Nice.
Which is supposed to help with brain function.
Well, you sound a lot smarter.
Anyways, well, enjoy the rest of your day, Joe, and thanks so much.
You're awesome. Thanks. See ya.
Thanks.